If you have multiple BMWs or just may have seen a bunch of our installation videos where we completely transform BMWs, Minis, and Supras with our Alpha 1 speakers, you may have noticed that sometimes we take different approaches when it comes to installing these components based on the chassis. Well, in this video, we're going to be giving you the basic understanding of how these components go together, so that way, regardless of what you see us do on video, you'll always understand that 1 + 1 will always equal 2. Welcome back, Dylan here. Over the years, we've made countless videos of us installing our Alpha 1 original speakers in BMWs, Minis, and Supras. Well, now we're making them on our Alpha 1 Signature Edition speakers. And of course, while these sound better in every way, we did notice there's a substantial difference in how the crossovers get connected. So we figured we'd show you a little bit of how everything gets connected in this video. To learn all about the Alpha 1 original and signature speakers, you can check out our site and a bunch of other videos we have on our channel, all linked in the description. While we're going to be showing you the basics, it's important to know that there are some exceptions to the installations based on the chassis. While every component will eventually connect to the same place it's supposed to, there may be some deviations, so you should always follow the installation video or PDF instructions specific to your chassis when available. Some examples are having to install the signature crossovers without the housing, like in the center channel of a G01, or how space constraints require originals instead of signatures, like in the center channel of an F92, and how the door panels on that same car make sense to use a factory extension in the wrong way. Now, before we get started, let's quickly go over what a crossover is and what it does. In the most basic terms, an amp is going to be sending a signal through a pair of cables optimized for both a tweeter and a mid-range. However, how do we tell those frequencies which speaker to go to for the best sound? That's where crossovers come in. Crossovers, depending on the design, filter out or divide frequencies, allowing specific speakers to get only the frequency range they're designed to get. In other words, only the tweeters get the highs and the mids get the mids. Neither of these speakers are going to be getting the lows because our amps and the factory amps send those frequencies exclusively to the woofers. Let's cover one more thing before we show you how everything gets plugged in. In some cases, you may find that your tweeter is closer to your A-pillar or some other location where BMW will put a factory tweeter extension cable. That means when you unplug your factory mid, you're going to have two connections. One, that's the lead from the amp, and one, that is the tweeter extension cable that goes to the tweeter. It's important to not get these confused when plugging everything in. In most cases, the factory tweeter extension cable will have a green striped wire, but the best thing to do is look and follow the wires from the tweeter to the mid-range before disconnecting anything. If you don't have a factory extension cable, you'll be able to follow the cables from the tweeter housing directly to the mid-range. If you do have an extension, there will be 2 extra 2-pin connectors along the way. Once you identify which cables are the tweeter cables and which is the feed from the amp, you can move on to actually plugging everything in. Let's start with the basic Alpha 1 original setup with an A45 mid, an A10 tweeter, and if included in your installation, a crossover filter cable. Now, if this cable is not required for your installation, you simply won't get this in your kit. Now, if you don't have a factory extension cable to deal with, you're simply going to take your A10 tweeter and plug it into your A45 mid. Now, this is going to be the same with an A40 mid as well, and it doesn't matter which port you use. Now, in the other port, you're going to plug in your filter cable. It even reminds you of it right here, mid-out. It is important to note that you do not want to plug this into your tweeter. That is a no-no. It even reminds you of that also right here. And the feed from the amp, that's simply going to go into the other side like so. And there you go, your connection is done. Now, if you do have a factory tweeter extension cable, it is important to note that the feed from the amp will still plug into the crossover filter cable like so, or directly into the mid-range if you don't have a filter cable, but the extension cable is going to plug directly into the mid, and then on the other end of the extension cable is where you're going to plug in your tweeter. Now, keep in mind that if the cable is long enough from your tweeter to reach the mid-range and you could skip the extension cable, go ahead and do that because it's always best to have the least amount of connection points possible. So there you have it, that's done. Let's move on to the signature speakers. The Signature Edition gear is a bit different, but the principle is still the same. The first thing you're going to do is start by plugging the feed from the amp into in on the crossover. Then after that, your tweeter, if you have no tweeter extension cable, will go into TW out on the crossover. And then finally, you complete the connection by plugging mid out into either port of your S45 or S40 mid. Now, if you do have a factory tweeter extension cable, then same as before, you're going to plug the extension cable into TW out, and then the tweeter will go into the other end of the extension cable. Also, just like before, if you have enough slack in your tweeter cable, plug it directly into the crossover, bypassing the tweeter extension cable, because again, the less connection points, the better. But what if you have our signature S45C coaxial speaker? If your BMW didn't come with tweeters, our S45C Coaxial Signature Edition speakers are a fantastic option to prevent you from having to run extra cabling or get new trim panels just so you can install tweeters. For these, the tweeters are built into the mids and they do come with special crossovers. Now, while these crossovers look the same at a glance, one of the connectors is different, and that is by design, so that way you don't plug the wrong connector into the wrong port in the S45C, because for this speaker, the connection points matter. So to start off, just like before, we're going to plug the feed from the amp into in, like so, and then we're going to take TW out and plug that into the side port of the S45C, like so. And then mid out is going to go into either of the ports here at the bottom of the speaker, which one doesn't matter. Simple. The last thing I want to talk to you about is a couple of special situations. There are instances where the housing for the crossover is too big for it to fit in certain areas of BMWs. They can be taken apart, but heat shrink, which is included with each one, must be added over them. For the point of this video, it's important to note that doing so does not change how it's plugged in. In a more recent video, Jarrett used the factory tweeter extension cable as an extension for the mid-range speaker. Keep in mind, depending on the specific chassis, we may find an easier or more practical way of connecting speakers, but these will always be special occasions, and they are unique to whichever model we're currently featuring. If something still doesn't make sense to you though, please don't hesitate to reach out to our support team for clarification with your order number. Always make sure you're following the installation video or PDF instructions for your specific chassis, or you could run into issues. Finally, for connecting the mids and tweeters, never mix and match Alpha 1 Original with Alpha 1 Signature. Well, nothing will explode, you just won't get the best audio that we aim to deliver. Now, this would be a rare mistake anyway, considering we send you exactly what you need, but there are some cases, such as recently with this F92, where we will send you both, and that's simply because of limitations with physical space. Just make sure that if you do get both in your kit, only the Alpha 1 Original goes with Alpha 1 Original, and Alpha 1 Signature goes with Alpha 1 Signature. So, what about the woofers? Plug them in. That's it, seriously. Unplug the factory woofers, plug that connector into the Alpha 1 woofers, and you're done. To wrap this all up, the last thing I want to talk to you about is this. BMW is starting to change some of the speaker connectors on some of its chassis. Now, so far, it's only the G45X3, and while our Alpha 1 Signature and Original speakers are still plug and play, you will need this adapter. Now, how this works is you're going to plug it right here into the mid like so, or into the filter cable if you're using the original speakers, and then the feed from the amp will go right here into this part of the connector. Now, there's no need to wonder if you need this adapter or not. If your chassis requires it, you will get these adapters in your kit. And that is how you connect Alpha 1 Original and Signature Edition speakers the correct way. Want these speakers for your ride? Have your VIN ready and reach out to our sales team via chat on our site or by calling. Already have these speakers and have any more questions about how they get connected? You could reach out to our support team with your order number and they will be eager to assist. But as always, for more tips and tricks, product reviews, and so much more for BMWs, Minis, Supras, and Teslas, make sure you subscribe and don't forget to ring that bell. Want to know what's happening first? Head on over to our site and sign up for our newsletter. Don't forget to check us out on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok as well. Thanks for watching.